Well, hello there and welcome to Travels with Geordie, here in self-isolation aboard MV Geordie in Victoria, British Columbia. I would normally have said we're fixing up the boat for some advanced cruising someday, but I'm not sure what we're doing these days. Really, I'm not. What I can say is things are pretty good, really. Victoria, British Columbia is largely unaffected. We have some cases on Vancouver Island, but very, very few. And if I avoid watching too much of the news, it doesn't seem so bad. However, I am in self-isolation, so getting materials is not so easy, but not impossible. So I'm making some phone calls, see what we can do. We're going to carry on with the propane locker for MV Zephyrus, and I'll show you what we've been up to with that. All right then, so all the glue is dried, and this thing is super solid. I'm thrilled. So now I'm just going to hit it the various corners and bits of exposed glue with first a power planer, just to make sure I get everything just nice and flush, and then sand and ease the edges a little bit, just so that when it's painted, the paint can flow over the edges fairly neatly. I've opted out of soaking the whole thing in clear penetrating epoxy sealant. I think it's overkill, actually. And there's another thing about it, it takes forever to dry. So I think we'll be okay without it, and we'll put a couple coats of marine urethane paint on it, and I think it'll be just a biz. Okay, let's clean this up a bit. Set this really low. Close this because we don't want any chips going in the water. Too long in self-isolation? And now, because I am so pleased with the stuff, I'm going to use it to fill the little voids where the screws are. Use it as a filler. It becomes a very good, solid, sandable filler. So let's get on with that. Oh yeah. Okay, let's go. All right, I'm really pleased with that. Let's let that set up and sand it off in the morning. Those of you with random orbital sanders will know exactly what's happening. My pad is packing it in. In other words, the hook part of the hook and loop system only lasts so long on these things, especially if you're prone to pushing, which I really try not to, but this has given me a good service for many years, and it now will barely hold a piece of sandpaper. Yeah. Anyway, almost done. All right, so paint time. I'm going to use Petite Easy Epoxy, which is the one-part paint that I put on top sides. In other words, the hull, basically everywhere outside the boat that I paint. So I figured it's a good candidate for this. I have found this to be really awesome stuff. I don't know if it's the best, it's just what I use. This being an outdoor project is extra complicated by the fact that we've had very little good weather in this last little while, which I know for those of you watching along on the whole Victoria thing, this is the only dry day for the last week and for the next foreseeable future anyway, it seems. So got to get moving on this. As I've trying to do this project without turning the boat back into a shop, I have to make all this messy stuff outside, and as you've seen, anytime I'm sanding, I'm very careful to do it in one of the cockpits and with a vacuum, because I shouldn't really be letting too much sawdust into the air here. Okay, now if that big black cloud doesn't come this way too quick, we'll be okay. Keep forgetting that these paints come with an O-ring. All right, then we're going to start inside. Up here. Riveting, isn't it? I'll relieve you from any more of this till we get outside anyway. Well, hello and welcome back to our regularly scheduled programming. It's time to invert this and paint the outside, which I'm sure will be far more entertaining for you. I have very cleverly not painted this little lip here or this little lip here so that I can easily pick this up and flip it over to paint the bottom without getting all covered with paint. And I can honestly say I thought of that exactly 10 seconds ago. So, put some paint on. This paint goes on like a dream. Absolutely fantastic. It's not cheap. Now you can probably start to see some of the method in my madness, how I wanted to ease the edges and fill the screw holes a little bit. Even just the very modest efforts I've made to do that make this quite a nice, tidy box. Well, I painted the bottom. Now, I think I'll paint a little bit up the bottom before I flip it. I'm trying to be smart here, and it's not always that easy. You'll notice I'm using a cloth roller, in other words, not a foam roller. I don't know why. I just find if I can get away with using a fuzzy roller over a foam roller, I always seem to do a better job. I know it has to do with the type of paint and the type of finish and all that. I just don't worry about it too much. And time for the flip. Could I have framed the GoPro more perfectly? I have never been any good at choosing how much spaghetti to cook, but for some reason I'm always pretty good at choosing how much paint to put in the pan. I suppose it's because you can always get a little more on. Okay, that's it for that. Okay, so for a quick update on where it's going to go forward from here, this week has been almost solid rain. There hasn't been another opportunity to get another coat of paint on this, and I'd like to get 2 more on, but I want to get this episode up to you. But anyway, we had a few questions about ventilation, and yes, absolutely, a propane locker must be ventilated. So I have this through hull, which will sit in the bottom, and it's tapered so it'll be flush with the bottom of the locker, and it'll have a hose out to a nice bronze through hull, which has to be above the waterline, but well below this. So that propane being heavier than air, can vent out. So there's no concern with that. Also in the bottom of the locker is going to go this 1/4-inch piece of starboard, which is a high density plastic. It's very similar to the high density molecular weight plastic I've been talking about in terms of using for frames and stuff like that. The point of this is to make a really resilient floor bottom to the locker, because you're going to be sliding propane cylinders around in there, and on plywood that would have got mashed up relatively quickly. So this will drop into the bottom. I will put sealant all the way around the edges so that it is relatively well set, and then drill a hole with a chamfer, and I'm not quite sure I'm going to do that chamfer, but we'll figure something out, through the starboard and through the bottom of the plywood. And then a hole that's a clearance hole basically in the cockpit sole, which I will then seal up when I drop this down, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. The other thing that I need to do into the locker is provide access for the propane lines. And that'll happen right up in this corner, actually. Well, it'll be this corner up underneath the deck. And I'm going to cut out a panel here and create a gland, basically another piece of starboard-like material that I will slit and drill holes in so that I can basically create captive glands for the various hoses and wires that have to go into the locker, so that will remain airtight. Anyway, that's all we're going to get done on that this week. Oh yes, and I had a few people ask me about a little model railway project that I started and showed a bit of some time back. Anyway, they asked me if I'd done it, and I have, so I put up a separate video for it, but here's just a few clips just as a teaser, and if you're interested in seeing the whole thing, there's links down below for that as well. Hope you enjoy. Cheers. Getting set up for the beer of the week, and I just wanted to show you how cute Pup is down here curled up at my feet. I love the way this little nook works out for him, and he just loves it down there. Okay, let's get to it. Yes, and well, we're definitely now into the austerity beer of the week. Yes, in a relatively full self-isolation, I'm now sticking with large cans because I got them all in advance of self-isolation. So we're good for a couple months, but it does mean we're working from cans, and you know how I feel about that. Anyway, no, it's all great. So we're sticking with driftwood. We're drinking Golden Well Focal, which is considered, they're calling it a West Coast style table beer. It's only 3%, but because it's driftwood, I wanted to give it a shot and see what I think of it. It looks very, very light. Might be just perfect. I kind of wish it was a sunny day. We've had a string of not so nice days lately, as you can tell with the propane locker project. This is actually the dry. I should get out and get some painting done. Anyway, cheers. Let's see what we think of this. Oh gosh, you know, that is really yummy. Very citrusy. Grapefruit, I would say. It's really good. I think some people who would think a lot of citrus doesn't really work for them, but that is a really nice hot weather beer for the bridge deck. It's nice today too, but up on the bridge deck it'd be fantastic. I'm really going to enjoy that. Okay, we have a few people to thank, and I have to look at a list because I couldn't possibly memorize it. First off, the Sea Strainer, which I was wondering who sent it, and it was Sam Christofferson Dutch. Thank you very much, Sam. I'm grateful for that. Some presents came in the mail from Craig Smith, both a dual battery charger for the GoPro, which is super handy, and a memory card for it, which is also super handy. They've already both gone into service. Now, speaking of the memory card, recently we had a mail mix-up here at the marina. I wouldn't say a mail mix-up, but I got a bunch of mail that somehow it got lost, and in that was another memory card. Who I don't know who sent it. There was no indication of it. So if you sent me a memory card some time back, like a month or more, let me know, because I'd like to thank you properly for that. Okay, from PayPal. It's been a banner couple of weeks from PayPal. Gary Deschamps, thank you so much. Paul Beglane, thank you as always. And Rocky Champagne, thank you very much for your support through PayPal. And I'm a little late with these announcements because we've had a couple of strange weeks, but thanks to two new patrons, Wes Shipman and Marco Lavoie. Thank you all so very much. And I realize some of those were a little late because of the strange episodes we've had recently. I haven't had an opportunity to thank you. Thank you all so much. And I'm really, really grateful these days as most of my other work has dried up. So thanks again. All right. Well, we're all in this together, aren't we? So I think that is going to be the word of the week. So if you would like to win a Travels with Geordie t-shirt, leave the word together down below in a comment, and I'll pick it random from the first 24 hours worth of comments. And if I pick you, I'll send you off a Travels with Geordie t-shirt, pending the mail still works. But anyway, so absolutely fantastic. I'm still enjoying this. I hope you are too. And we'll see if we can get some great content out. See you next week. Cheers. This is a really great beer.